couldn't read these on the screen. I still can't read them in the printed.
Somebody is going to find it all.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a summary sheet, I think, that,
Yeah, no, that was very helpful. And I'm just talking about the print. My eyes can't handle this print anymore.
That's why we have,
Yes.
but then you can't see this.
Yeah.
Okay. Calling this meeting together at 3:17 on Wednesday, the 1st of December. Okay, we are here to discuss the fact that we have the potential for additional ARPA funding for the wastewater treatment plant project. Mark, you want to give us a summary so we can bring everybody up to speed?
yes. Let me, Sharon, can you give me the ability to share the screen and I'll put up the summary sheet?
Yes. You should be able to now.
Okay, thank you. Let me make sure I get the correct. sheet here. Say hello to my email. Where is? So this is, everybody see that? This is a summary of the change that we have been notified by New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. We previously or currently have qualified for this funding, a planning grant of $75,000 and 2% of the $25 million total project cost in loan forgiveness. So we currently qualified for $575,000.
That's based on the 5 million, right?
No, that's based on 25 million.
Okay,
Okay, because it's only 2%.
okay.
All right. However, the state has received the first of 3 years in additional ARPA and infrastructure monies. And so this first round, they have taken the list that I provided you, which is this document right here. And they have taken these first, there are 55 projects on this sheet. This is group 1 is what they are calling it. And these projects are now eligible for up to 20% loan forgiveness with a cap of $2 million. So we are number 8. Waterville Valley is number 8 on this list. So it has taken the $500,000 that we did qualify for and has changed it to $1 million. Additionally, not part of this sheet, we have been increased, our planning grant authorization has been increased from $75,000 to $100,000. The 20% cost that we're looking at right now is, Margaret, based on $5 million instead of $25 million, because they will only approve us right now for what is approved by town meeting. So that's why we're capped at the $1 million right now. So when I found out this information, I reviewed it with Joe and we spoke with the folks at DES and asked them what the ramification of taking $1.5 million bond issue in the January bond bank sale would have on us. And the bottom line is no money that we have bond issues for or any sort of interim financing. The gets taken off of the eligible amount. So we would be reduced from 5 million down to 3.5 million, right? And additionally, the planning grant comes off of the total that's eligible that they use to calculate the 20% of the cost. So that would take us down to 3.4 million. So what I called the bond bank and asked them if we could reduce the amount of our bond issue in January from $1.5 million to $1 million. The reason that I did not ask them if we could pull out completely is, number one, we need some cash flow dollars for the engineering work that we're going to have done during 2022. The state money is not available until probably late in the year in 22. And also, if we have any further repairs that we need to make to the current plant, we would need cash for that as well. So rather than incur bond anticipation note costs, which would be additional interest and all of that, I figured if we reduce it to $1 million, we have plenty of money to cover our expenses in 2022. If we ran into a catastrophic problem at the plant, we could go out and get bond anticipation notes if we had to. But again, any of that interim financing is going to come off of the eligible reimbursable amount off that 20%. So this saves us, making the reductions saves us potentially $100,000. So we would be looking at a total amount in grants and loan forgiveness of $880,000 right here. Okay, if we go down to the $1 million bond issue. Now, there will be additional funding opportunities.
Mark, before you go on, will you just take me through once again, because I'm trying to figure out 20% of what.
Okay.
We started out at 5 million.
Yeah.
You take out either the million or the $1.5 million.
Correct.
Let's say you take out the million.
Yeah.
Then are we eligible for 20% of the 400,000?
No, we are eligible for 20%. So it's 5 million minus $1 million minus $100,000. So it's $780,000. That is 20% of $3.9 million.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then the 100,000 gets added to that, and that's why the total is 880.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Now, it actually, the fact that they didn't count the other $20 million, I think is going to work in our favor, because the additional funding will be coming into the state during the state's fiscal year 23 and 24. So that's the years that begin on 1 July of 22 and 1 July of 23. So they will have money available, and because we're in that first group, the amount of money that they're anticipating, they haven't been told the exact amount yet, but the number that they're being told is so large from the feds that they may actually increase the eligibility up to 30% of the construction costs. So we're basically guaranteed the 20% here, and we might be able to get as high as 30%.
That's of the final 20 million.
On the 20 million. So that's going to provide us with the 4 to 6 million maximum. Now, this is all based on our expenditures. So we would have to expend another 20 million above the 5 million that we already have approved.
Right.
So, I
We've been
mean,
in that situation before where we had to approve an amount higher in order to be eligible for the grants or loans.
right,
Correct.
but this falls, that's correct, but this falls into our timeline with going to the town meeting in March of 23, because we'll be able to fill out an application based on the authorization. We don't have to accelerate our authorization from town meeting up to 22. We can wait until 23, until all of the design work is completed. And then we'll actually be requesting the actual construction cost estimate. So if it's only 17 million, then that's what we'll request. That will affect our grant amount here, right? It'll lower it, but it's still going to be based on our actual anticipated costs,
Right.
because the design work will be complete. So we're not guessing as much.
Okay. Dylan, is $1 million enough to take care of our plant until the new one is ready?
I think so. And as Mark said, worst case scenario, we could always do a bond anticipation if need be.
Mhm.
But I think for the remaining time until we go to the next time meeting where we actually ask for more money, I think we'll be in good shape.
Okay.
Because realistically, one major issue, and there's nothing in my mind that I can think of, but we're looking at maybe a maximum of 200,000 or something like that.
Mhm.
So I think we're in more than good shape, even with $1 million. So,
Okay.
So if I understand, just following up on that question and answer, the less we bond, the more we're eligible for.
That's correct.
So were we to bond less than $1 million, we could be eligible for more.
Yes, but then the safety net starts to get too
Right.
small.
And
because-
that's what I'm trying to understand. Okay.
Yeah, and so I think from my perspective, it's a balancing act. We could go back to the bond bank and ask them for even less. But I really don't think we should do that. In addition to the repairs, we also have land acquisition that's in there, and we've committed to a design contract, engineering design contract of 402,000, remember,
Mhm.
right? So now 100,000 of that is going to be taken care of with this planning grant money. So we're down to 302 of town money that we're going to be using for the engineering. But then the land purchase, if we find during this work that we're going to do this month on the site plan, right, we're going to be sitting down with the engineers in a few weeks and going through that. We're going to start identifying whether or not we need to purchase land.
Any way to
So-
accelerate that?
I'm sorry, I'm
Is there
sorry.
any way to accelerate that decision or to delay this decision to see if we need to have that extra amount for land?
No, I don't see any need to do it, Rich, because like Dylan said, if we're looking at major repairs that we would have to make of a couple 100,000, we're still okay with the $1 million, but it's another reason why I want to keep the $1 million and not go down to say 500,000 or something like that with the bond bank.
Okay, so I mean, you guys are comfortable, you, Dylan, Jim are comfortable with $1 million.
We have our meeting on the 9th as well to look at the different areas where we could build a plant, so we'll know mid next week whether or not what we have available is gonna be an issue or not. So
Okay.
then we can always both come
We'll,
back. with
we'll have
you
a
guys.
better idea.
Right, right.
Okay,
And the other thing is there'll be another bond bank sale, bond sale in the summer of next year. And we could always pull out some from that 3.9 million if we needed to. You know, if we needed another 300,000 or something like that, we could pull that out.
Because they're not going to give us this money until late in the year next year.
They're not going to give this money until we actually spend it. It's a reimbursement program. So
Okay.
it's going to be all based on our expenditures.
Okay. Righty.
yeah,
So
it was
the,
an art trying to find that exact point where we borrow as little as we need to in order to maximize
Mhm,
what we could get in funding.
right.
So, but if you guys are comfortable at the $1 million mark, then so be it.
and don't forget also that we've got these other two grant sources that we've started looking at that are going to be on top of the ARPA money. So my approach here would be that we would start working in 22, late 22 probably, with grant applications to these two organizations, because they will be, we can actually, in the case of the Northern Borders Regional Commission, we can actually use federal grant money as a match. So any money that we got from Northern Borders would be covered by anything we get from ARPA. So these are, and Economic Development Agency grants are better than 50-50 in a lot of cases. So you're talking about 70 or 80% grant. So our match ends up being small. And so these are potentially big ticket money sources, but I don't want to apply for them too early because we still don't have any idea what our actual construction costs are going to look like. So these are two other sources that hopefully we can do a lot better than this 4 to 6 million on the remaining balance. So.
All right. Any other
I'm good.
questions? Okay.
Thank you.
So you want me to make the recommendation, Mark?
Yeah, this vote is what we need you, and also to, you have paperwork, Steve, that changes the resolution that you adopted previously. So basically you would be voting to make this change and sign the appropriate paperwork.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to reduce the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank bond issue to 1 million from the previously approved 1.5 million, and to authorize the town manager to coordinate with town bond counsel to make the required changes to the NH Municipal Bond Bank paperwork to change the town application, and also to authorize the town manager and town engineer to complete additional grant funding paperwork as soon as it is available from NHDES.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does that do it, Mark?
I think so. If you can sign that paperwork that you have there.
Okay.
I think we're all set. Bond counsel and I have been talking today. She has everything that she needs. And that paperwork should change the bond bank application. Steve and Judy and I will stay in contact with the bond bank and counsel and make sure that they don't need anything else.
Okay, great. All righty. Any other business?
There was just one thing under the board concerns and directives. Before you arrived, I noted to Mark that there's an article in this month's Wigwag about food trucks. And I just wanted to confirm with Mark that we had agreed earlier that we were going to look at that soon again, with regard to tightening up or better explaining the permit process that we have. So I just wanted to get that on the record as in this meeting.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mark? Yeah.
That's correct. We're gonna have an agenda item. I'll put the current solicitation permit in the packet for the meeting next Wednesday. And Dave is working on some recommendations as far as changes we could make to that permit to tighten it up. I mean, I'm looking at time restrictions or whatever,
Right.
and those sorts
That's
of
being
things.
discussed.
That's correct.
As a discussion topic. I bring it up only because I think this may spark some questions of the town or of the select board
Right.
about food trucks. It did not mention in the article that we had addressed it and that we are continuing and plan to address it again.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that'd be good that we have it on the agenda for our next meeting.
Okay.
And the other part to that, we do not have a food truck permit. Okay, all we have is this off-site solicitation permit. So we're not permitting food trucks that are on the property owner's land. Okay, like as an example, the ski resorts food truck, that doesn't get any sort of permit at all because they have it on the company's land. So that is something else. Do we want to actually have a food truck permitting process? And if so, what does that look like? Or do we want to rename our off-site solicitation permit? So those are things to think about going into next week. But I agree with Rich that the article in the Wigwags, plus what Bob talked about at the meeting last time, is going to bring this to the forefront.
And just refresh my memory and perhaps others. What did we do last year when there were food trucks on golf course company land?
We utilized the off-site solicitation permit.
Okay. And did we require inspection of those food
No,
trucks?
there's no local, we do not currently have any local inspection of the trucks. Those are done. They have a permit from the state of New Hampshire, a license from the state of New Hampshire.
And does the state of New Hampshire inspect them?
I don't know. Dave could speak to that in detail, but I don't know if they just get inspected when they are licensed or if they are subject to inspections while they're operating.
Okay.
That's going to be something that we're going to need to talk about next week.
But at any rate, what we did last year was permit food trucks on private land.
We did, as I recall the discussion, Margaret, it was a question of time, a length of time. And whether it should be through this permit process that we have for off-site solicitation. And I think we thought it was a good idea if we limited that to a day or 2 days or a weekend. My memory's a little hazy.
Yeah, we said a weekend.
But anything longer, which could be considered more quote unquote permanent, it would have to go through the planning board as a minor site plan review.
Mhm.
I think that's where we landed back then. But I think now what we're talking about is relooking at that and perhaps modifying or at least looking at it again to see if we want to tweak it or perhaps come up with a separate food truck permitting process.
Well, and it is also how it fits into the minor site plan or minor site plan application, because the food trucks are not staying there for weeks at a time. They're coming into the valley and they're leaving, if not every day, then every other day. And they're but they want to come in on a regular basis. So like the request from BBTS to be able to have Tartaglia's pizza truck there on weekend days, but to do it for an entire ski season, right? So it would be multiple weekends, but the truck would only be there for a day. So is that site plan application required? You know, if you're only there for a day?
I think the sense at the time, at least my sense at the time, was that it would be, because the whole minor site plan review was recently created and added to the zoning one just a couple of years ago, right? 2-3 years ago,
Mhm.
Mark, in an attempt to capture things like this and to make it less onerous for people who had to go through site plan review, not to have to go through the whole engineering and elaborate paperwork processes they would normally have to do.
All right.
So, but whatever's practical and whatever the town wants, obviously, is where we'll hopefully land.
But both the site plan or the offsite solicitation permit and the site plan application are controlled by the selectmen and the planning board respectively. This isn't a town meeting
Right.
issue. So it is something that between the two boards, if you coordinate, you guys can take care of it between the two boards. So this, I don't see this needing to be a warrant article.
No, I was thinking more just of town input, whether it was a public
Yeah, have a public hearing, absolutely.
or people talking to us as to if we're moving in the right direction. If you read the article, there seem to be two clearly defined opinions about it, about having food trucks. And I think Bob Freeze expressed one, but there's the other one talking about the convenience of having the trucks in
Well,
town
particularly at busy times.
at busy times.
Yes, when everybody is benefiting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the coordination idea is an excellent way to do it. And a minor site plan review is intentionally extremely easy to do.
Mhm.
I mean, it could be, I think in the case that when it came up with Craig Larson a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, the planning board just asked for a couple paragraphs
Right.
with the dates, and they would look at it and approve it at the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not meant to be an elaborate process whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just some way to control.
Okay.
Well,
regulate,
more
I
to
should
come
say.
next week at our meeting,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I will so move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So
Thank
go
you very
take your
much.
walk with your shorts.
I'm gonna go take my walk with my shorts.